So, ancestors. I've heard a few things, and people say sort of what's she talking about now, always about the ancestors and this, that, and the other, which immediately you understand that that person can't really be happy or can't be proud of where they've come from, can't be connected to where they've come from because it's deemed as a negative thing I'm talking about, when actually it's been a point of power for me. And having been gifted this beautiful opportunity to connect with part of my ancestry this past month, realise the power that we hold when we look at ourselves and our past. In a time where past, present, future and simulation, is it separate? Is it all one? We only live for the present moment. It's the now moment that counts. But in terms of 3D, or I don't even know what exists anymore, but anyway, when we look at our past and know ourselves, we're able to propel deeper into the future. We're able to look at ourselves with greater insight and potentially foresight as well, moving ahead, because we've looked back and seen what our individual maternal, paternal sort of lineages have been through across the ages. It can help us connect to past lives as well, can help us to connect to old kingdoms. A lot of the kingdoms, the old worlds, are rising right now energetically, so that will mean what it needs to mean to whoever's watching and aligned in that way. But without looking back at the ancestors, connecting with them, healing with those who may have not been in alignment with us, or just feeling the love from those we connected very deeply with before they transitioned. Once we do that, we can really root ourselves in the North Node. We can really find purpose and power because we start to know ourselves. And by learning ourselves, by knowing ourselves, and yeah, we can look at astrology, we can look at our natal chart and things like that, but feeling the cells inside, feeling where our DNA, where our ancestry, where our, I was going to say personal traits, characteristics, but there is things that are embedded in us from the routes that our families have chosen to take, be that nomadic, be that land people, be that water people, be that water babies. That's a book that I grew up with. Be that forest people, be that craftsmen, blacksmiths, whatever, war veterans, we've all come through a lot across the ages. And so if somebody views or deems that as irrelevant or something to like poo-poo or something to not connect with, it's hindering us from incredible amount of healing, love, protection, personal power, direction, and yeah, I'll say foresight again. When we start to expand out of the physical reality and this simulation, the game that is played, and we connect with the energy, the energetics, and higher dimensions and different timelines, we do get messages. When you hop timelines and you sort of, where I'm at now, and a tiny insight would be, say you leave a tissue in your pocket. It's not super clean, but it's not dirty, but you don't want to bin it. So you just leave it in the pocket. And I'm not saying I leave dirty tissues in my pocket, but anyway, there's a point to this. And you go into the kitchen one day and you sort of, and this is a few days later, and you just happen to like spill some tea on the floor and there's nothing to mop anything up with. And then you reach into your pocket and you've left that tissue in there from a few days. Well, this is happening, or this can happen much more on a more repeated, there's so much coming through at the minute. I've been struggling to get my words out over the past couple of days in a coherent way, so I don't know if this is making sense, but anyway. We start to realise that this happens a lot more once we acknowledge that we don't only exist in one timeline, or that parallel realities, and messages from other realms. That was an example of something that like certain things happen to me all the time like that now. I don't read too much into it. I just trust it. I flow. I find it, the synchronicity, very, very interesting, and it just makes me laugh sometimes because I feel like I've done it before, been here before. And so once we start to open up to that possibility of being here before and doing it before, it means that we already know what we've manifested. Like, dreams cannot be thought about if we've not experienced them in some way, in some thought, in some dimension, in some realm. And so if once we know what we've lived through, once we've seen certain things, it grounds us in a greater sense of purpose, belief, faith, trust in the divine, or however we want to connect with it. As I sort of like go deeper into shamanism, you know, nature is showing me the way with a lot of people, a lot of the Babylon sort of system of us needing, you know, reassurance and just trauma bonding and weird things that we all grow up with, and sort of like a healing now collectively. We don't need reassurance from anybody else. And in those moments that we feel we might need something, go to nature, and that reassurance and that love will be reflected back. Are we on the right path? Go to nature, check things out, see what gifts we get. And the greater that we are in alignment with our North Node, with our purpose, with our creativity, and harnessing the full power that we hold inside as incredible divine beings, all of us, yeah? I'm not saying we all have the same gifts, powers, and a depth, but we all do have a lot more to be tapping into than we're currently doing. And so with that curiosity, the childlike curiosity, once we start to look at the inner child wounding and the healing that as we've all been wounded as a societal thing, yeah, it's not a blame to anybody, but this is Babylon. And so as the systems and structures in place for the past decades crumble before our eyes, and that will happen in whatever way it needs to happen. When it happens, we have to let go of control, and certainly don't believe in fear or fear of the unknown, because once we've rooted in ancestry, once we've seen what we've seen, we don't live in fear. We live with trust and faith. And so having moved through what I have this year with weird people and all that, and I say that, I should probably say not weird, because I think that's actually a compliment. So with deceptive people, oh gosh, I've got something else coming through, one sec. Okay, that's gone, that thread's gone. Rooting ourselves in ancestry. All right. Is it going to come back? Anyway, I'll just focus on, once we root ourselves in the power that we have from looking at our ancestry, from looking at ourselves, and denying the external world any power over how we move through each day, how we move through each moment, how we move through each decision, because it is irrelevant. Yeah, we might have to, sorry, my battery's going to die. We might have to move through things physically in this physical reality, but the opinions of others and the external realities and limitations placed on society, they are irrelevant now, and they're getting wiped out as people collectively tap into a depth that we've never been to before, because the ancestors are speaking in ways that are quite incredible. So delving deeper into shamanism and low realm, high realm, however we want to move through it, the darkness, the light, because there was this thing about, you know, some people saying, oh, I'm a light worker, or I'm a shadow worker. And I had a chat with a friend recently, and we were just like, well, she said, I think they're both the same thing. And I found that really interesting, because, you know, all these labels are kind of bullshit all the time. Like, it doesn't matter what we call ourselves. Like, ultimately, if we're working with the light, we still have to integrate the shadows. So some of us will be called to places in the world where what I experienced, the darkness is. lurks, and we shine the light on things, and things come to the fore that may have been previously hidden. And that is the work of shamans right now. That is the work of people who are looking at themselves, their ancestry in ways that other people have not. Some might say, black sheep of the family or whatever, but it's not about any discord within our own family units. This is just, we do things differently. Without judgment on how other people live their lives, we can't function in that same way. Yeah, have different levels of soul satisfaction that need to be met. And when we have spiritual awakenings, we don't function on the same level as other people anymore. And that's okay. It's all love. We want to spend time with people, but there will be this mission or this purpose that we're gifted. We get messages of where we're going to or what we need to do. And at the minute, this has brought me to Ireland, looking at my ancestry, and have been gifted some things here that never would have happened before had the soul family not been here for me, and also acted as channels for or connected to my guides, my ancestors. The ancestral link among the soul fam as well is very, very strong, and protection. A beautiful friend of mine gifted me something that when I was back in Jamaica, I wasn't wearing. And all of a sudden I put it on, got a call in, and certain things were revealed to me and shared. Soul fam, people who genuinely have love in their hearts for us and want to support us, become protectors, because love is a protection. So when there is genuine love, we are protecting ourselves. When we love ourselves, that is a form of protection. And so that's why it's really the most important work in our lives, is to focus on ourselves. Stop getting involved in other people's business, because you're actually stopping the process of finding the purpose, because we're denying ourselves knowledge of self. And that is basically the point of life, is to know thyself, like to know what makes us tick, to know our wounding, and to learn the patterning, and to make those cycles and the karmic pattern smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, until we don't keep looping around and we change the timeline and we hop over and we get a new set of learnings. And oh gosh, I don't even know what words mean anymore when stuff like this comes through and I'm just like talking. It isn't like, this is Victoria chatting. I don't know what I've just said. Anyway, I was gifted an absolutely amazing miracle in the sky tonight. Something shifted in the air. We know that there's a lot of talk about this solar flare stuff and the pole shift. I can't really remember, because sometimes words, confusing. But there is clear energy shifts right now, and I trust that we're all grounding. And so the way of grounding and protection is by knowing thyself. Self-love, looking at our ancestry, being grateful for how we've arrived at this point in time, right here, right now. 1313. Whatever that means to us, I say these silly things and they won't resonate with some people, it will resonate with others. And then you'll say your own silly little things and that will resonate with others and it won't resonate with other people. Like, we have to pass the parcel of this loving intention. I share my wisdom because I'm a wise person. We all have our own wisdoms through living in this weird physical life of whatever it is, simulation. So we have to pass the parcel, pass the duchy, whatever. And it's a game. It doesn't mean it ain't going to hurt and we don't get challenges, but it is a game. It's a simulation. So we've got to start to learn to play it better and pull out of the matrix and the limitations and the spirits of vanity and greed and again, we're talking energy, yeah? And when we're not aware these things exist, they can take hold of the spiritual body in detrimental ways. And so now, as one person learns things, each one teach one. Like, one person learns things, you pass it on. And some people use this knowledge to their advantage, that the intention is purely for self-gain, Whereas I know that ain't my intention, and that's why I'm ruffling feathers right now, because I'm here for the collective, I'm here for children, I'm here to protect the animals, I'm here to protect my family, to protect my heart, to protect the people that I love, to protect sensitives, to give people a voice that they haven't found themselves yet. And everybody is capable. It took me a certain amount of time in my life to come to this realisation, to come to my full, well, I haven't even tapped into the fullest potential, because that's ever growing, it's limitless. So, but just where I'm at right here, right now, is just the most connected I've ever been, most protected I've ever been. And people want to know, like, what are you doing to protect yourself? We have to ask ourselves that. How I do things is not going to be aligned with how other people do things. We share the wisdom when we talk, but we have to carve out our own solo path. Can't be going around and, like, you know, spying and looking on what she's got and this, that and the other, and I can't manifest anymore because, and she's doing that, or she's taking my energy or whatever. Karma plays out how it plays out. And so if you keep looking to others or blaming or being in this bitter, resentful attitude through life and woe is me and victimhood, you are creating the karma, because that's the lack mentality. And where I live, in the reality that I'm creating, is an abundant mentality, abundance mentality. And a lot of the people around me are in that reality as well right now, because we see the miracles happening because of the words we're choosing to use, because we are not using and trying, because some still slip out, because it's a whole lot of programming. For, you know, I say this spiritual awakening started at 35. I've got to pull myself out of 35 years of linguistic programming. Understand, inner stand, you know, I don't want to say morning, I want to say rising. I want to be uplifted, upful, movements, up, irie, like, you know, elevated. We don't want to be suppressed or have anything from the system, this linguistic system, which has been morphed to their assumed advantage. No, we're taking our power back right now, and words are important. You know, we can look at the, like, I know my ancestry and the names and what I'm connected to here and stuff like that. It's all important. Certain words have activated things inside of me, inside of, like, it's a remembrance. It's a deep remembrance. You come home and you feel your ancestors walking behind you. Whether people want to believe that or not, cool, but I know what's manifesting in my life. I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it. I've also done it all before, because I said this is a simulation, we just leveled up. You know, I might have failed in the last time to achieve certain things, but this is the time where the karmic balance is happening out and realigns, because, well, it's incredible times right now, so it's no because, or I don't need to share certain things, but people will get it if they get it. Those who have eyes to see. And I got big old eyes, so nothing really gets past me. I just am humble and modest and try not to. People say I'm not modest because I love myself now. There's nothing wrong with loving yourself. But I stay in my lane. So we observe and we say things as and when we feel appropriate. But people do have to learn themselves. I can't go around shedding out opinions and all that. On here, I try to share my truth and a perspective. I'm not saying it's the truth, because who knows what that is. But this is my little corner of the world where I get to talk and chat shit because I've been asked. And whatever's coming is better than what's been. So we rise together.